Dear friends, welcome to this Electrical Engineering Knowledge Sharing channel, AMP Power System. We are discussing line protection under session 13. Today we are going to discuss part 2 of session 13, and that will be the last part of session 13. So in part 1 of session 13, we have already discussed about this transfer trip scheme. Under transfer trip scheme, there are three subdivided scheme was there. One is a direct transfer trip scheme, permissive under risk transfer trip scheme, and the permissive over risk transfer trip scheme. And then another, we said that except the transfer trip scheme, there are another three scheme. One is a directional compression or blocking scheme. Then another is a directional compression unblocking scheme, and then another is a hybrid scheme. That three scheme today we are going to discuss. Those three schemes, one is a blocking directional compression or blocking scheme. Number two is a directional compression unblocking scheme. And third is a combination of these two schemes for hybrid scheme. These three schemes we are going to discuss today. So first let us discuss the blocking scheme. Blocking scheme is differed from the permissive scheme in the sense, in the blocking scheme we have said that there are three zone or three element in a distance relay: zone 1 element, zone 2 element, and zone 3 element. That means three characteristics available. With the normal electromagnetic relay, with the numerical relay we can get up to 5 characteristics or 4 characteristics. So if we go by the electromagnetic relay, then the third zone characteristics, and if I go by this numerical relay, we can take the fourth zone characteristics, that is zone Z4. So let us discuss it with the three zone characteristics at this moment, whether it is numerical relay or electromagnetic relay. So in the case of blocking scheme, what we do? In the blocking scheme, the three elements, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, all the three elements is not looking towards the line. This is suppose the two station A and B connected between the station A. This is the transmission line AB. Now the relay which is locating, the distance relay which is locating on station A, ZA, that relay has a three element: zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. Now zone 1 element will be looking forward direction. Zone 2 element will be looking forward direction. But the zone 3 element of station B will be looking backward direction. This direction will be the, if it is a fourth zone element, we can use zone 4 in this direction. So this is the difference. In case of permissive scheme, all the three zone is looking this way. But in case of blocking scheme, zone 1 and zone 2 will be looking towards the line to the other station, but zone 3 element will be looking at that station, looking in this direction, on the backward direction. Similarly, in the station B, ZB relay, zone 1B and zone 2B, that will be looking forward direction. But Z3B, third zone element of this relay, will be looking backward of this line. That means towards the other line. Suppose there is another line here, in this direction this relay will be looking. That is the difference between first difference. Why it is done like this, we can discuss afterwards. The second part is, in this blocking scheme, continuously channeled by who is the, we have said in the permissive scheme, either Z1 element or Z2 element issue a signal to the transmitter, then transmitter send a signal to the other end to clear the end zone fault. But in the case of blocking scheme, continuously, when no signal is non-monitored, the channel monitoring signal is continuously present, channel is monitored. But normal condition, there is no tripping signal through the line. And when the fault is within the line, then no signal will be transmitted through the line. If the fault is within the line for which the protection we are talking about, if the fault is within the line, no signal will be transmitted through the line. So advantage of that, if the channel failed during internal fault, relay operation or fault clearing will not be disturbed. That is one of the advantage. And if the fault is outside of the line, not within this line, in that case blocking signal will be transmitted from the remote station to the other station. If The fault is, suppose this is a line, there is a fault over here. If the fault is over here, in that case what will happen? If the fault is on this line over here, in this case this element will look this fault, Z3 element of this station B will be looking this fault, then this element will be issue a signal to the other end to block the operation. Maybe this element is using for transmitting the signal, but when this element is operating means the fault is outside of the line. So it is sending a signal not to operate this relay. So that's why it is called blocking scheme. So in the blocking scheme, if the fault is within the line, then no remote signal is required to operate the trip the breaker. But if the fault is outside of the line, not within the line, then there will be a blocking signal will be coming to the other end to tell the other end, don't trip, the fault is outside. Now, how that is done, that we will be discussing now. So in a brief, in a blocking scheme, the relay, this is a 3-step distance relay. There are 3 elements, Z1, Z2, Z3. Z1 and Z2 element will be set looking forward the line, and Z3 element will be looking backward of the line. And this Z3 element will be used to issue a send signal or the blocking signal through the transmitter to the other end receiver. That means if the fault is over here, then the Z3 element will pick up. This Z3 element will tell the transmitters, will send a signal to the transmitter that I have operated. Then transmitter will send the signal over the channel to the other end to the receiver. So this end, if the fault is over here, this end transmitter will be sending signal to the other end receiver. And the other end receiver will understand there is a fault on the outside of the zone. So I should not operate. So it will give command accordingly. We will discuss this part separately now. Now how it is happening, that I have, for saving some time, I have drawn in advance. So now let us consider how it is happening. Suppose there is a fault over here. Suppose this is the end zone fault. This is fault is here at the end. Suppose this is 80% of the line, and it is after the 80% near to the station B there is a fault. Then what will happen? When the fault is over here, then this ZA relay, this relay, zone 1 and zone 2 both will operate. Zone 1 will not operate, only zone 2 will operate. When the fault is, suppose this is a 90%. Fault is at 90% from station A, then at this end only zone 2 element will be operating, Z2 will be operating, and Z3 of this element will not look the fault because Z3 is looking this direction. So Z3 will not see. Only Z2 will be seeing this fault, right? Now, at the same time, what is happening over here? If there is a feed over here, so when the fault is within 10% of this, for this ZB relay, Z1 will be looking the fault, Z2 will be looking the fault, right? But it is a Z1B and Z2B, and Z3B is looking this direction, so this Z3B will not see this fault. So the moment Z1B seeing the fault, immediately Z1 will operate it, right? And the same way, if the fault, if the fault is over here, 10% ZB will be operated, Z1B, Z2B both will pick up. If the fault is over here, in the same way, if the fault is over 80% from this end, suppose it is at 90% from this end and this is 80%. If it is the reverse way, what will happen? In that case, it will reverse logic. Z1B will not operate, only Z2B will be operated from this end, and here ZA, this relay, Z1A will be operated and Z2A will be operated because it is a 10% of the, from 10% on the only this, so ZA is operating, Z2 will also pick up, and Z3 will not pick up because Z3 is looking this direction. So this will be the case. Now when the fault is written over here, then at the Z3 is not operating, so it will not issue any signal. This is the reverse looking element here. Fault is over here, so as it is in zone 1 fault, immediately zone 1 will be operating and this end breaker will be off immediately. When the fault is within 10% of the line from A relay, first element, zone 1 element will operate instantly and immediately this breaker will trip and become off. Okay. And this end the fault is feeding at 90%. So here what has happened? Z1 has not operated, only Z2 has operated over here. So when Z2 in this scheme remote at this end fault will be cleared from this end, under what condition? Condition is Z2 element at this end is operated and it has not received any blocking signal. Because why? When the Z2 is operating over here, Z2 covers how much? Entire line plus 20% of this line. If the fault is over here, suppose the fault is over here, in that case Z2 is operated. But in that case, these also, if the fault is within 20% of this line, then here this relay also seeing the fault, the Z3 relay of this end also looking the fault. So the moment Z3A is operating, immediately it will be sending a blocking signal over here. It will be sending a blocking signal over here. So this Z2, though it is operated, but once it receives the blocking signal, then it will not trip. Condition of operation that when Z2 is operated and no blocking signal, because blocking signal, no blocking signal means fault is within the line. If the blocking signal is present, that means fault is outside. In that case, this relay should not operate. So the moment the fault is outside of the line, then the Z3 element will operate. It will send the blocking signal to Z2B. So Z2B has operated plus receiving the blocking signal. So Z2 will not operate for outside fault. But if the fault is inside, then Z2B is operated, but there is no Z3 operation. So no blocking signal. So blocking signal is absent. Immediately Z2 has not receiving any blocking signal, it will trip. So this is the way blocking scheme is operating. But here one of the things we have to mention, the moment Z2 is operated, then we have to give some time to Z2 to receive the blocking signal, whether receive or not receive. If this element operate, then it will send the blocking signal over the channel. It will take about 1 cycle. So we have to give some time till the moment Z2 unit of B relay operated. That unit, that contact should give a time, give a signal to a timer to spend some time, at least 1 cycle. That 1 cycle is the signal transmission time. So within the 1 cycle, if the signal sent by the Z3A, within 1 cycle it will be receiving over here. If the signal not sent by A, also after 1 cycle, we will understand signal is not coming. That means fault is inside. That means when Z2 element of this end is operated and it has time, 1 cycle time has gone, within the 1 cycle, if it receives the blocking signal, it will not operate. But if it does not receive the block signal, then it will operate. That is the logic. So that we have drawn a logic diagram over here. You see here Z1 is so this breaker, suppose the fault is at the remote end, B station, fault is near to the B station, and we are looking from this end, or you can say fault is over here. Okay, fine. We have drawn the picture in terms of A. Suppose the fault is near to the A station, and so at station A, at 90% of the B station, fault is over here. In that case, what will be the sequence? When the fault is near to station A, within 10% of station A, then first A relay, first element, zone 1 element will operate instantly and clear the fault. Clear the fault means trip this breaker. So this Z1A, when Z1A will operate it, when Z1A means A station, zone 1 element operated, it is a OR gate. So when any one of them is high, immediately output will be high. Then immediately it will trip. So that is a clear for 10%. Now, so this breaker is off, but still there is a generator connected over here also, so it is still feeding the fault over here. So this end fault feeding is stopped, but this end fault feeding is not stopped, so we have to trip the breaker. So our intention, from at this end, this fault is within the end zone. From this end, it is end zone. After 80% means end zone fault. So end zone fault to be cleared in the zone 1 timing. That is our intention. That's why we will expedite the tripping. So the moment fault is at 90% from here, immediately zone 2 element has operated. And zone 2 operate, what you have to do? Zone 2 unit will give a signal to a timer. This is a timer, time delay, timer. It will give a signal to the timer. Then this timer will pick up. Then after 10 seconds, suppose it is a 10-second delay. 1 cycle, 20 millisecond delay. After 20, this is a set at 20 milliseconds. This timer set at 20 milliseconds. Once the 20 millisecond off gone, then the timer will pick up. Then it will give a signal to the gate. Okay, that means zone 2 has operated and 25 milliseconds has elapsed. At that time, another condition, zone 2 element has operated and 25 milliseconds gone. We have given the time for signal receiving over here. At that time, there are two cases. Either signal can come over here or signal may not come. If signal come, that means this has not operated. That means fault is within the line. So at that time, if signal not received here, this relay does not receive any signal. If this condition, then it will give a tripping command. But if this end relay, when Z2 has operated and time at 20 millisecond time gone, at that time, if this relay get a signal from the other end, that means Z3 has operated. Z3 is looking this side, that means this fault is not on the line, fault is outside. If Z3 is operated, then it should not trip. If signal is present, then this will be, it is a NOR gate. So if the signal present, then this condition is not meeting. Here no signal over here, so it will not trip. Clear? So this is the blocking scheme. So in the blocking scheme, what is happening? In the blocking scheme, during tripping time, I don't need any signal transmitted over the line. So if the line is failed, or suppose line is short circuited, or the signal channel fail, or transmitter fail, receiver fail, in that case, my tripping will not be stopped. In this case, in the case of blocking scheme. So I have drawn this, and then another thing over here, that this is a expedite tripping, end zone fault clearance, and normal zone 2, when this, if suppose all this has not operated, in that case, zone 2 element, this has a automatic time delay is there, timer, normal 3-step protection is there. So zone 2 unit, when this normal timer will be operating, so after the timer maybe 250 millisecond, again it can trip. And if this zone 3 element operate, okay, so zone 3 element will send the signal for the expedite operation. Still zone 3 operation will give another timer that will trip this breaker. For this side fault, when zone 3 is operated, fault is on the next line, on this side next line. So when Z3 operated, after the definite time delay, it will trip this breaker as well, if this previous expedite trip does not work. So that is we have drawn over here. You see here, Z1, we have considered the fault is near to this station, within 10% of station A, and this is a remote end. Okay, so near end fault is a station A near. So when the near end fault is there, immediately zone 1 unit is operated, and this is a trip. It is a breaker NC contact 52B. Now breaker is in service position. So Z1 is operated, immediately trip relay energized, and if breaker, this will give the trip command to the breaker. That is a zone 1 clear in this area. Now, if the fault is the remote end, suppose the fault is over here, okay, in that case the end zone fault, how it will be cleared? End zone fault will be cleared. This end zone 2, when the fault is 90% from here, then here zone 2 element will be operating. Zone 2 element has operated. This is your zone 2 element. When zone 2 element is operated, then it will be giving a time to receive the signal from this end. So it is energizing a timer. That is a timer for 20 millisecond. There are two timers. One timer is 20 millisecond. Another timer is a standard timing, that is 250 millisecond for operation of zone 2. That is a standard timing, 3-step distance. So it is energizing two timer. After 20 millisecond, okay, after 20 millisecond, this timer will pick up. When this timer will pick up, you see this is a zone 2 element was operated. This timer has pick up. So this is NC, and this is a, you see this is a blocking signal coming from this end. Suppose the fault is over here. So this Z3B, this is looking this direction. So it will not send any signal. So that means if it does not send any signal, this is NO contact, this relay, BRX relay is not energized. So this NC contact is over here. BRX NC contact, immediately it will trip. So that means when the zone 2 element over here for this end zone fault, near end fault will be cleared by Z1A, remote end fault will be cleared by this breaker. How? Z2B operated and gives a time of 25 millisecond. Within the time, no signal received from the other end. From this end, no signal has come over here. That is a BRX. That is a received signal. BR is a blocking signal relay. Blocking signal relay contact NO. That means blocking signal relay not energized means no blocking signal has come. When it is not come, then BRX also not energized. So BRX NC contact, and it is giving the tripping. So this is a primary expedite tripping. If the normal tripping does not take place, then what will happen here? Here is zone 2 is already operated, and zone 2 energize another normal timer, which is a 250 millisecond. So within the 25 millisecond, if it does not operate in this way, after 250 millisecond, this is after 250 millisecond, this is also tripping. And zone 3 element in this direction, as per the setting of 400 millisecond, if there is a further end fault anywhere, then it will be tripping by Z3T. Okay, these are the simple logic for this blocking scheme. And who is sending the signal? This end, for the when the fault is over within 10% of this end will be sending signal, but this end, which element? Z3 element, which is looking this side, Z3 element will be sending to the signal to the transmitter. Z3A, this end Z3A will be sending signal to the transmitter to send the blocking signal, and this end Z3B will be sending signal to the this end transmitter to send the blocking signal to the other end receiver. That is the logic. That is I have shown over here. When this A end we are considering, in the A end Z3A will be this relay. When Z3A fault is outside, immediately it will pick up and it will send the transfer to the signal to the transmitter to send the signal to the other end receiver. So other end receiver, this end transmitter, this is a transmitter, this is activated by the Z3A contact. When Z3A contact energized, transmitter energized, immediately it will send the signal to the other end, receiver will receive it. When the receiver receives the signal, then the tripping will not take place. If no signal comes, then immediately it will trip because it is a blocking scheme. So advantage of the blocking scheme that during the fault condition, during internal fault condition, if the channel fail, then but tripping will not be stopped. But another disadvantage, at the same time, if the fault is outside, suppose the fault is over here, at that time Z2 has operated over here. Here Z2 has, because it is Z2 120%. Suppose the fault is after the stationing at a distance of 10%. So here Z2 is operated. So at that time, this breaker will trip or not trip, that depend on the whether signal receiving or not. So if this Z3A is operating, means fault is outside, it will send a signal over here, it will receive signal, so it will not trip. And if the fault is inside, it will no signal will arriving over here. But at that time, if this transmitter, receiver or the channel fail, then whether fault is outside or inside, it is not receiving any signal. But Z2 has operated, so immediately Z2 will be operating. That means for internal fault, it will clear the fault. But for external fault, if the channel fail, then the blocking scheme unnecessarily tripping the breaker for outside fault. That possibility is there. This is the disadvantage, but it is a more dependable. It is blocking scheme is more dependable, but not secure, because if channel fail, it will not operate. So this is a blocking scheme. Now next scheme is a directional comparison unblocking scheme. This unblocking scheme is more or less same like our permissive overreach scheme. I think let me clear this part so that it will be clear to understand. It is a permissive overreach. Okay, let me draw, that will be easier. In the case of permissive overreach scheme, the scheme which we use in the permissive overreach scheme, this unblocking scheme is more or less same like a permissive overreach scheme. Only difference, this is a transmission line, this is a station A and this is a station B. Okay, this is a relay ZA is connected, here relay ZB is connected. Okay, same like the CT over here, PT over here. Here CT is connected over here and PT is connected to the bus, the ZA. Okay. Now in the case of, we have said in the case of permissive overreach scheme, Z2 element, these are the three elements, Z1, Z2 and Z3. So all are A. Huh? Here also ZB has a three element, Z1B, Z2B and Z3B. Right? But all these element is looking this direction. All these three element is looking this direction in the case of overreach scheme. But in the case of overreach scheme, what is the difference? Z2 for this end, Z2A will be sending the signal, and this end Z2B will be sending the trip on this signal. That is, and this end, this end zone fault will be cleared by Z2 element after receiving the signal from the other end. The tripping logic is, suppose there is a fault is over here, it is at a 90% fault. In the case of permissive overreach scheme, because Z2 is the overreach element. So in the case of overreach, what we said that suppose this is a positive bus. So this is your Z. Suppose this end, when the fault is over here, it is a 90% of this position. Suppose first fault is at within 10%. In that case, Z2A will operate and it will trip the, suppose this is a breaker NC contact, it will trip the trip relay and it will trip. That is a Z2A, instant trip. Now this end breaker, for the, it is for near end trip this way. Now for the remote end tripping, or the, when the fault is at the remote end, to clear the fault in zone 2 area, to clear the fault in this local time, what we did, we said from here, zone 2, Z2 has operated, that is number 1, it is a Z1A, instant tripping. Z2, this end second zone element has operated and it has received a signal from the remote end. This is a signal from the remote end. That means remote end Z2 element has also operated. This signal received, that is a permissive receive. If this received, then it will go for tripping. That is we have said in the case of permissive overage scheme. That is your expedite scheme. When this second zone element has operated and it has received a signal from the remote end, then it will trip the breaker, right? Now third we said what is that? Z2T, 2AT, this is also giving tripping component. Then Z2, Z3AT, here are three elements. The first element instantaneous trip, second element with the permissive, it is tripping instantly. But if the second unit permissive not coming, then it will take normal time delay 250 milliseconds, it will be 450 milliseconds, then it will give the tripping command. This is the logic. And what we did in the permissive signal, what we do from here, so there is a permissive, relay permissive, and there is a relay over here, PR relay. Suppose they are PR, it is connected over here. This is your signal receive relay. Yes, a signal receive relay. Signal receive relay is energizing this permissive receive relay. When the permissive relay energized, immediately PR will be on, Z2 on. So when the end zone fault, when the fault is 90% from here, in this case what will happen? This relay, it is within the Z2, and Z2 is looking up to 120% of the next line. So Z2 has operated, and when the fault is over here, immediately for this relay, what has happened? Z1 has operated, clear the fault. And at the same time, it has operated Z2 also here. When the fault is within 10%, all the three elements has operated. The moment Z2 has operated, immediately it has sent a permissive signal to the other end. Okay, the fault is inside. But if the fault is outside over here, in that case, what will happen? Here the Z2 will not be operating because Z2 is looking this side. So if the outside fault, Z2 will not operate, so it will not send any receive signal. Although the Z2A over here will be operating for this fault. For this fault, Z2A has picked up, but it will not trip because it is not receiving any signal because Z2B is locating this way. So for this fault, it will not send any signal. So if the fault is outside of the line, Z2A will be operating, but there is no receive signal. So this relay will not operate. So this will open, it will not trip. But if the fault is within 90% from here within the line, then here Z2 has operated, and at the same time this end Z2 will be sending the signal to the other end because it is within the area. So it is then it is contact tendency. Then immediately the end zone fault, for the end zone fault, that fault within 90% is tripping in zone 1 area with a 25 millisecond time will be required for the channel for signaling coming the signal. So this is the end zone fault is clear with the zone 1 time, and if none of them is working, then normal time delay it will be working. So this will be the logic. So in this logic diagram, how it will be, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 is there, and here what will happen? It will be, here it will be, here is your Z2, this is a AND gate, this is an one gate, this is your Z2A operated and signal receive, PR or signal permissive receive, okay? Permissive receive, if both is on, then this is on, then it will trip. That is we have discussed about the permissive overage scheme. Now with this permissive, this is a similar to permissive overage scheme. But in the case of permissive overage scheme, there is a small problem. Problem is, in the case of permissive overage scheme, the channel is must be present for tripping. Because you see here, this end zone fault is cleared how? Zone 2 element and the signal received. But if the channel failed or the signal does not come, though the fault is inside the line, but due to channel problem or the transmitter, because when this element is operated, this end area operated, then immediately it will give signal to the transmitter, right? Then transmitter will be sending signal to the receiver. So if the transmitter has some problem or the receiver has some problem or the channel has some problem, then what will happen? This signal will not come. In that case, though the fault is inside of the line, but due to failure of the signal channel, this AND gate is not meeting the requirement. Z2 has operated, but the signal is missing due to failure of the transmitter, receiver or any of them. Then the genuine fault will not be cleared and it will be hanging. And it will be clear when? It will be clear after the zone 2 timing elapse. By that time system will go unstable. To avoid this thing, this directional comparison unblocking scheme has been designed. Here, what is the difference between these two? That here, to avoid this problem, what we did some modification in the relay scheme. What the modification we do here? In this case, we said in the case of permissive overage scheme, through over the channel, suppose this is a transmitter, and this is a receiver, right? We said over the channel, this is a receiver. Over the channel, continuously guard signal is transmitting, continuously guard signal is coming. The moment this remote end Z2 element operate, immediately the guard signal, suppose it is F1, the moment this end second zone 2 element operate, immediately it will trigger this transmitter. Then in a transmitter, instead of F1, it will send a trip signal, suppose frequency F1A, F1T. This frequency signal it will send to receiver. So normal condition, this transmitter continually is sending the guard signal. The moment here the zone 2 element operated, that means it is a fault is inside the line. The moment zone 2 operated, this contact signal giving to the transmitter, then transmitter instead of originating F1 frequency, it will be originating another frequency, F1T frequency, which is called trip frequency, and it will receive to the receiver. So in the case of, this is the case happening in the case of your permissive overage scheme. Now this frequency, now this is a, so this transmission channel is always sending one frequency, either that frequency or this trip frequency. Over the channel is coming always. When over this, if there is a communication channel between these two, from this end continuously one frequency is coming, that frequency. From this end also another frequency is coming continuously. The moment this element Z2 operated, immediately that frequency converted to trip frequency, and other channel is containing that frequency. Now there will be no scenario when any one of the signal frequency is not there. Either F1 will be there or F1T will be there on a particular channel. So double, this is a transmitter, this is receiver, one channel. From this end to this channel is from this end to this end. Suppose this is a B and this is A. So B end transmitter, Z2 is giving, if this Z2 does not give trigger, it will generate only F1 that frequency. The moment B end station Z2 give trigger to the transmitter, the F1 will be off, F1T will be on. So always there is a signal. But if the channel got failed, we said what is the problem here? If during that time, if the receiver, transmitter or channel fail, then no signal will be coming over here. In that case, Z2 has operated, due to non-presence of signal, the expedite tripping will not be there. So how we can overcome this? How we do that? When any of this channel, any of the problem, transmitter, receiver or channel problem, or due to the channel short circuit, if this signal missing, if both the signal missing, then what do we do? Suppose both the signal is absent. This is your guard frequency, F1 frequency, and this is a F1T frequency. This frequency is not present, this frequency is not present. Suppose this is a gate, this is a AND gate. If both the frequency is off, that means what is the problem? Frequency, none of the frequencies coming means we have to understand immediately either transmitter, receiver or channel has failed or short circuited. In that case, what we will do? We energize a timer. And we allow up to 150 millisecond maximum, not more than the general 100 to 150 millisecond. It is 100 to 150 millisecond time delay timer. Pick up one delay timer. To pick up, it will take 100 to 150. Once this signal, both condition, no signal present condition made, and then it will energize the timer, but timer will pick up 100 to 150 millisecond. Within this 100 and 150 millisecond, if zone 2 unit is operating, then immediately it will trip. But if this, after this 150 millisecond elapse, then this timer will pick up, then that tripping will not be there. At that time, if you want to trip, zone 2 element will be operating and other ends permissive will be required. So this modification is done in the permissive overage scheme, then is called directional compressive unblocking scheme. So in the case of directional unblocking scheme, what is the difference over here? Here this circuit, this Z2A PR, this circuit which I drawn over here, that will be slightly difference will be there. What I said, that Z2, now here Z2, now if you see the logic, suppose this is a Z2, this is a gate, this is a Z2 has operated, okay, There will be two relay actually. Suppose this is one R1 relay, okay, R1, and there is another timer. We can say in this way, okay. So here what is happening? This is a OR gate, AND gate. Here this is your DC supply. This is a guard frequency signal. This is a trip frequency signal, okay. And then we have a relay R, and then another relay timer T. When no signal present, immediately the relay will pick up, okay. Relay will pick up, and then when this relay will pick up, at that time when this relay and this relay not picked up, till this relay is not picked up and this relay is operated, at that time it will give a trip signal. This is AND gate, okay. R1 has operated and T has operated. R1 has operated but T not operated. At that time it will give a signal. It will give a signal, and at that time Z has operated. So this is happen when this will happen when the channel fail. In that case, R will pick up immediately, and this timer will be picked up after 150 millisecond or 100 millisecond. So up to 100 millisecond till it is not picked up, these will be both. These will be channel failure. These will be on. R1 will be on, and these will be on up to 150 milliseconds. So up to 150 millisecond, these will be high. When this is high, then Z2 will be operating. This is one case, and then here it will be another case. This AND gate, and here another option is there. If the signal receive, yeah, here it will come another gate. It's coming over here, and then this is a Z1 signal receive, Z2 signal receive. This is your OR gate. So when this two high, it can be high, or if Z1 to signal from the other end signal receive, in that case it also high. So if and Z2 has operated, then it will give the trip command. So that is a case over here. So this portion we can redraw here. In this case, what Z1 instantaneous tripping, expedite trip will take place. Z1, it is a Z2. Z2A has operated, and R1 operated, but T1 NC contact. It is a timer NC contact. It is a R relay, which I shown this R relay. R relay picked up and timer not picked up, and then it will give a trip command. Okay, this is one case. Another case here, and it is receive a signal. This is your PR, permissive receive. If directly from the other end permissive receive and Z2 has operated, it will trip. If the permissive does not receive due to channel failure, that means trip frequency signal not received, in that case what will happen? In that case, this is the case relay. This is the relay representing both the signal is off. Both the signal is off. In that case only this R relay will energize. So when this is picked up, means both the signal is off, and 150 after 150 millisecond it will be open, because after that 150 millisecond this timer will pick up. 150 millisecond or 100 millisecond, the moment timer pick up, it become NO. So this path will not be on. So these will allow tripping up to 100 to 150 millisecond as per the setting of the timer. After 150 millisecond, this path will be open, so it will not allow. At that time, if you want to trip the breaker for end zone fault, zone 2 to be operated and signal to be received. This modification we do in the circuit, then this scheme is called directional unblocking scheme. So directional unblocking scheme is assuring you that if during the end zone fault, if the end zone who is releasing the trip frequency signal, if that transmitter or the other end, receiving end receiver, or the channel got failed, in that case this protection will be operated. It will not be stopped. But in this case, one of the same thing is there. When Z2A is operated, the fault can be on the outside. In this case of outside fault, this 150 millisecond, if the channel failed, within this 150 millisecond it can trip. So there is a chance of within this 150 millisecond, if there is an outside fault, this can be tripped. If when both the signal is absent, at that time if there is an outside fault, it can also trip. For the inside fault, it can also trip. This is one of the risks is there, but that is only for 100 to 150 millisecond. The time interval with time setting given to that. Okay, because when Z2 element is operating over here, it indicates what? It indicates Z2 element when a fault could be inside or fault could be 120% of the outside. In both cases, it can be operated. So that's why when this both when the channel failed, as the fault for internal it will be clear, at the fault will be outside also this line will be tripped unnecessarily. The risk is there. This is your permissive, your directional unblocking scheme. So in the directional unblocking scheme is similar to permissive overage scheme. In permissive overage scheme, if we include this channel failure criteria, then it become permissive, it become directional compressive unblocking scheme. Now these are these various scheme. Now if you look into this, that from this various scheme we can say the permissive or transportive scheme is a dependable scheme, because you need the signal from the other end to receive it. Permissive scheme is a very secure scheme, because you have to security is their channel is working, so channel security will ensure that you are operating. But in the case of blocking scheme, it is very dependable, because it is operating with the, it does not reverse end, remote end, the reverse looking element give the signal, then only it will be not tripping or tripping. So it is dependable, but security is low. But in case of permissive scheme, security is high, because channel signal is there, present is there, and the joke to element is overaging element is there. So it is a secured, but dependability, blocking scheme is more dependable than the permissive scheme. Now to compromise between these two, we made a new hybrid scheme. In the hybrid scheme, permissive scheme is there as well as blocking scheme is also present. So how this is done? In the case of this hybrid scheme, we use both the scheme feature. This is a suppose A station and this is B station. Here is a 3 element Z1A, Z2A and Z3A. Here is a 3 element Z2B, Z1B and Z3B. Okay. Now here how we do this, as we did for the permissive scheme over permissive overage scheme, what we do here, this is your logic. How is the logic? From here Z2 element, here Z1 element will give the, this is a OR gate for tripping. So this is the one, it is OR gate, it will issue the trip command. Okay. At the same time, Z2 element, if Z2 element is operating, it will give trip command with a time delay, right? It will give a, then Z2A, Z3A, you can write down, and Z3A, in a Z3A T we can write down, and Z2A T we can write down. So Z2T also give the tripping command, then Z3T also giving the tripping command, and Z2A is giving the tripping command on expedite. How it will do that? In the permissive scheme, this will receive a permissive signal PR, then it giving the tripping command. That is the normal permissive overage scheme. Okay. Now here what we are, and at the same time this Z2 element, it is issuing the send signal to transmitter for this end, right? So this is the tripping logic. Z1 zone 1 element instantaneous tripping, zone 2 element, this is a zone 2 element with a permissive, it will give instantaneous tripping, and zone 2T normal time delay and zone 3T normal time delay, that is also giving the tripping command. These are the 4 tripping command, and zone 2 element of over here, it is giving the send signal. Okay. In the case of hybrid scheme, now here what we do, we put in this here the Z1A, Z2A and Z3A, the third element we put in the reverse direction, Z3A we put in the reverse direction. Here Z3B we put in reverse direction like a blocking scheme. Now Z3B, when suppose this end, suppose the fault is at the remote end, okay, or this end, suppose this end. So this end Z3A, when this is operating, what does it mean? This means that fault is outside of this line, okay. Z3, so if for internal fault, Z3 not operated. If the fault is inside of the line, it will not be operated. And suppose the fault is over here. In that case, what will happen? Z3 will not operate, but it will get a signal from here. This transfer signal it will get, as it is in the permissive scheme, it will get a signal, and at that time not received, and at that time signal received. This PR signal received, I can say over here in different way. So this is a Z2, and then this is a gate over here. Yeah, here is a Z2, and this is a signal received. Signal SR, PR, permissive receive, and this is a AND gate. Then it will give the tip command. We can write down in this way, in the gate form, J normal 3, zone 1 tripping instantaneous, zone 2 and zone 3 is time delay, and zone 2A, when the second zone another tripping is there, that is a end zone clearing expedite. When that will happen? When this signal zone 2 has operated and there is a permissive has been received. If both is on, then also it is instantly stripped. That is a normal permissive scheme. Now this permissive signal also taken over here. Zone 3 has zone 3A not operated and permissive received. If that case happen, then it will also trip, and at the same time it will issue a command also, signal, send signal to the other end. When at this end, zone 3 element not operated, this is not operated, okay, not operated, and what is happening? And it has received a permissive. From this end it is received permissive. What does it mean? Because when Z2, because this end Z2 element has sent the permissive, right? Z2 element permissive can send in two conditions. If the fault is inside, when the fault is outside. In both cases it will be sent the permissive. But whether this drill will be operating, it depends on the what? Whether zone 2 has operated. Zone 2 is looking this way, not looking this way. So if the fault is over here, zone 2 will not operate over here. It will receive the permissive, but zone 2 will not operate. So if the permissive receives and zone 2 has operated, then only it will trip. So that is this tripping. Now in this case also another issue here. When this fault is over here, Z3 element will not operate. Now we are talking the blocking scheme, we are merging with this. This element will not work. This element not working means fault is inside, and at the same time permissive are received from here. Permissive received from here, this is the permissive. In that case the fault is inside, immediately this will get a trip command to this and it will issue a signal send. So that means here tripping is ensured by blocking scheme as well as permissive overage scheme. As this two scheme is mixing here in this scheme, that's why we call this hybrid scheme. So in the hybrid scheme, it is a permissive overage scheme along with a partly using blocking scheme for the trip and sending signal. And when the fault is over, suppose the fault is over here, in that case what will happen? In that case zone 2 element will operate, but it will not receive any permissive from here because permissive is coming from zone 2A. It will not, so this channel will not work. But if the fault is over here, and in that case also what is happening? Z3 has operated. The moment it is not get, the moment it is operated, output will be 0. So it will not operating. So this fault, it will not be tripping. So the tripping or not tripping is assured by both permissive scheme as well as blocking scheme. So that is called hybrid scheme. Okay. These are the three schemes for the distance protection. And so we have discussed all these schemes. Now we will go to the application of the various scheme or protection relays in the case of various type of transmission line. We have said that transmission line, so in this case we can say that permissive scheme is a very secured scheme, but the blocking scheme is more dependable, and hybrid scheme is a compromise of both the two. So which scheme will be accepted for any protection, that case to case we have to evaluate, we have to analyze, and we have to evaluate. Now when you go for the application of this protection scheme for the various type of line, we classify the line in the three category. One is suppose 400 kV system, one is a 220 kV system, one is a 132 kV or 66 kV system. These are the mainly three systems we are now discussing over here. Now in the 400 kV system, the distance protection when we use, there are two main protection we use always. That is a main 1 and main 2 always. For 400 kV and 220 kV transmission line, the distance protection always a combination of two, main 1 and main 2. In the 220 kV also, main 1 and main 2. And this will be backup. This is the main protection. This is the main protection, and there is a backup protection with the main protection be directional overcurrent. Directional overcurrent means 67 phase, and directional arc fault. That also backup with a 67N. This will be backup for this. So in case of 400 kV transmission line and 220 kV transmission line, we have a two main protection, main 1 and main 2, and one backup protection will be directional overcurrent and directional arc fault protection. Now this main 1 and main 2 protection will be relay, all the relay will be non-switched scheme. This main 1, if you see the main 1, main 2, okay, first discuss this relay type, scheme type. In case of 132 kV, there will be only one main protection. Main 1 protection only, and this will be backed by the directional overcurrent arc fault. For 132 kV and 66 kV, if we go for the distance protection, it will be main 1 distance protection, one distance protection main, and another backup is there. But 400 kV, 220 kV or onward, it will be main. There are two main protection, main 1, main 2, and backup by direction overhead and arc fault. Now this main protection, when you are using two main protection, standard practice, C-code practice is both the relay is relay, main 1 relay and main 2 relay from the two different manufacturer, not from the one manufacturer. Two different manufacturer relay is the best, and the CT, PT and the relay all will be independent to is protection. Main 1 has a one set of CT, PT and relay from one manufacturer. For the main 2, CT, PT relay will be second manufacturer. Suppose this is a ABB relay you are using. Here you use a Siemens relay or other manufacturer relay or Mitsubishi relay. So these are the practice for main 1, main 2. But sometimes various users, they don't go for the two different make, because in that case you have to make a lot of SPRs, you have to keep separate SPRs, separate CTPT, everything. Sometimes they go by the same manufacturer but two different version of the relay, two different model, that may go sometimes. Or sometimes they go by the same relay, same CTPT, but two completely independent set. So it is up to you, user choice how they want to do, but a normal safe is that go for the two different manufacturers, so that if any one of them is failed, other will not be failed. So that's the intention of this. If the same under certain condition, maybe one make relay cannot cope up that disturbance, then the other make relay may cope up. But if both the relay is same, under the same condition, both same mode of failure, both relay can fail. That's why practice is for main 1, main 2, relay, CTPT, everything will be from two different manufacturer and two completely independent to each other. Okay, and 130 degree is a one main protection, and backup protection is a 3-directional overcurrent and arc fault protection. Okay, now this main 1 protection, all this main protection what we discussed for all this transmission line up from 66 kV to onward, this all are non-switched protection. I told that day that non-switched, it will be non-switched protection scheme. That means sometimes we can extend the zone 1 element we can switch to zone 2, or phase fault element we can switch to arc fault. In that case, number of relay will be there, number of relay element will be required less. But in the non-switched scheme, for each type of fault there is a separate element. That means there are 3 type of phase fault, there will be 3 phase element. There are 3 type of arc fault, there are total 6 element will be independent to each other. So each element, measuring element, starter element will be different, because zone 1 has one measuring unit, one starter unit. Zone 2 has a one measuring, one starter. Zone 3 has one measuring, one starter for the phase fault. Similarly, arc fault. So each element is an independent relay, independent element inside the same relay. All these things. So 6 element will be independent to each other. So in the case of non-switched scheme, any zone element cannot be switched to the other zone element or other fault element. So phase fault and arc fault, and for each zone there is an independent element for the non-switched scheme. That is the main difference, switched scheme and non-switched scheme. So for the main protection, all the scheme will be non-switched scheme. So when you go for a specification of this relay, so main 1, main 2, main protection is a non-switched scheme. Each has an independent measuring element and starter element. And normally for the, we generally use the mode type relay for the zone 1 and zone 2, zone 3. Zone 3 sometimes if it is a 4 element, then zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 we take more relay, and zone 4 we say offset more relay. So it can be used as a starter. Offset more relay we use for the zone 4. That is the normal practice. And when we are specifying the relay, another thing we have to keep in mind, when the relay, it will all the numerical relay modular from, we can take out draw out type, and these relay should include couple of features at least. Like a power swing, we said already, during any tangent condition there should be power swing, and during power swing, when we draw the diagram, this load diagram, so our loading angle like this, during power swing the load, the impedance can come inside the relay characteristics. In that case relay will operate. So power swing blocker will be there, then switch on to fault blocker should be there, that also to be present in the relay. Then this relay, all the relay is operating on the VT supply. So if the case of VT supply failure or VT fuse failure, that failure monitoring scheme should be present with the relay, that is also required. Then this relay, all this relay should have is, for each zone has independent indication, that is required, and this relay has some independent, as an independent monitoring will be there, and the relay should have is event disturbance recorder, pre-fault, post-fault, waveform of the current, voltage, frequency, how does it change, that proofform should be, the recorder should be there, that event logger should be there, all the events should be logger for the our troubleshooting purpose, that event logger should be there in the relay. So this also required in the with the distance relays. So this is the brief specification. There are a lot of other issues are there which will be specified in the relay. So that is the practice more or less. And you know, this relay each has a separate panel. Main one has a one relay panel, main two, because it is not only the distance relay. When the scheme will make, lot of other equipment will be present, including the transmitter. This communication part will be separate equipment. And then what type of carrier communication we want a carrier communication, the line trap on the main power line, all this thing will be there. But this is the mainly the protection scheme is like this. Okay, so this is all about this distance line protection. So with this we are closing the line protection session. So next session we will be discussing session 14, where we will discuss about this testing, commissioning and post commissioning maintenance or preventive maintenance for the protection system. That we will discuss in a session 14, and after session 14 I think we can conclude workshop 1, power system protection. Then we will switch to the new workshop. Thank you very much for your continuous support, and in the coming days I am hoping the same will be continued. Thank you very much.